What kind of weapon commands a price of billions? One that can destroy without leaving evidence. One that can topple governments without a single bullet fired. The auction site had been chosen for its isolation, a sanctuary once used for meditation, now repurposed for commerce of a different kind. The most dangerous negotiations happen in beautiful places, neutral ground where enemies can sit across from each other and discuss the end of the world in civilized tones. The players had begun to arrive. The auction was designed for anonymity, even in proximity. 6 buyers, 6 factions with the resources to reshape global power. Each sees the others only as silhouettes. Each communicates through encrypted channels. A bidding war for the apocalypse. Nations no longer controlled the most dangerous weapons. Private interests had entered the arena. Corporations with GDPs larger than the countries they operated in. Shadow organizations with tentacles in governments across multiple continents. The Istanbul theft, the Zurich demonstration. Both were preludes to this moment. The auction would begin with proof, not just of concept, but of capability. A real-time attack that would remove all doubt about what was being sold. What's the value of a weapon that renders all others obsolete? A skeleton key to the world's financial architecture. The power to crash economies, manipulate markets, or simply observe the movement of every digital dollar on Earth. How do you put a price on omniscience? The plan to infiltrate had worked, but infiltration was only the first step. Stopping what was about to happen would require something neither of them had fully prepared for. A betrayal that would force them to choose between mission and morality. Every auction has rules, even one selling digital apocalypse. But what happens when someone decides to break those rules? When the game being played isn't the one everyone thinks? The woman known as Viper had never intended to bid. Her interest wasn't acquisition. It was elimination. The code from Istanbul wasn't meant to be sold. It was meant to be destroyed, along with anyone who knew how to recreate it. The demonstration was precise, calculated. A digital scalpel rather than a sledgehammer. Just enough disruption to prove capability without triggering systemic collapse. The perfect sales pitch for a weapon that could do far worse in less capable hands. In Tokyo's financial district, analysts were already responding to unexplained market volatility, emergency protocols activating. Yet no one could identify the source. The perfect crime, invisible, untraceable, devastating. The opening bid was $5 billion. Digital currency, untraceable. The price of global instability in the modern age. Every fortress has vulnerabilities. Every security system has blind spots. The retreat's defenses were designed to keep unwanted visitors out, not to contain those who were invited. The woman approaching wasn't just another player. She was something else entirely. An unexpected variable. Someone Jensen had history with. Complex, unresolved history. 7 billion, 8 billion. The price of apocalypse rising with each bid. What began in Istanbul as theft had evolved into something far more dangerous. A transfer of power that would reshape global dynamics in ways no one could predict. The auction was cover for something else. Jensen had suspected it from the beginning, but now confirmation had arrived. A ghost from his past had returned. Someone he'd thought was dead. Someone who knew exactly what the Istanbul Code could do because she'd helped create it. Plans within plans. Betrayals within betrayals. What if the auction was never meant to conclude? What if it was simply gathering all the most dangerous players in one isolated location? There's a rhythm to violence when performed by experts. A choreography that looks almost beautiful until you remember what it costs. Viper hadn't come to bid. She'd come to end the auction permanently and eliminate anyone who knew what the code could do. The code was never meant to exist outside its original purpose. A digital skeleton key created by intelligence agencies to monitor financial terrorism. In Istanbul, it had been stolen. In Zurich, demonstrated. In Tokyo, it would be erased, along with everyone who had seen its capabilities. What happens when the hunter becomes the hunted? When an auction becomes a trap, which then becomes something else entirely? The carefully orchestrated events had collapsed into chaos, exactly as someone had planned. The most dangerous player was the one who'd been invisible until now. The architect behind everything, from Istanbul to Tokyo. Not the seller, not the buyer, someone else entirely. The demonstration had become the real thing, not just a sample of what the code could do, but its actual deployment. Tokyo's financial infrastructure was collapsing in real time, with global markets beginning to respond. The auction wasn't selling the weapon. It was witnessing its use. Reunion in the shadow of catastrophe. Former colleagues, former lovers, now on opposite sides of a conflict neither fully understood. What brings people together is rarely what keeps them that way. It was never supposed to leave Istanbul. The words hung unspoken between them as they assessed each other through the lens of years apart. Former allies now standing on opposite sides of a global crisis. Some weapons are too dangerous to exist, even in the hands of those who created them. The Istanbul Code had been designed with safeguards, fail-safes that could only be activated by those who understood what they had built. Her mission was never to sell the weapon, but to destroy it completely, to burn away every trace of its existence, along with anyone who understood its capabilities. A scorched earth approach to a threat too dangerous to be contained any other way. The choice was impossible. Stop the attack on Tokyo's financial systems, or prevent the code from falling into the wrong hands permanently. Save millions from economic devastation now, or billions from what might come later. What began in Istanbul would end on this mountain, but the repercussions would echo across the global financial system for years to come. The question wasn't just who would survive, but what world they would return to. The detonator had a 10-second delay, just enough time to make an impossible choice.